Joe, as we were talking about before, you were talking about, thinking about what the prospect is thinking about while they're getting the cold call and like putting yourself in their shoes.
Yep.
Specifically, you're talking about managing the amygdala. So for us, like
Yeah.
science geeky people out there who are
Yeah.
a little like, what does that mean? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Well, Austin, like prospecting is the most dreaded function of any salesperson out there. Like
Yeah.
no one likes to do it. No one really wants to do it. And there's a reason for it. It's usually it's not as effective as it could be.
Hmm.
And a lot of people get kind of a misperception on, well, prospecting doesn't work and people don't want to talk to cold callers and they don't pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And there's a certain degree of truth to that. But what they really have to start looking at is it's not whether prospecting works or not,
Hmm.
because we know bad prospecting surely doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really how they have to look at it. Now, if you can prospect effectively and not sell, create some value, have a structure, and understand where the prospect's coming from and have a game plan, prospecting is still a very, very effective approach. And a lot of the companies I've trained over the years and
Hmm.
still today do outbound prospecting to build a pipeline.
Yeah. So when you're talking about effective versus ineffective, like what are some of the key, things that are the structure of effective
Yeah, great, great.
prospecting?
That's a great question. So, a couple things we think about. Number one, you've got to have some type of plan
Hmm.
of, how are you going to prospect? And, we're not going to really talk about that because I think it's, you know, the only thing I'd really have to say to that is a lot of people are single-threaded when they prospect
Yeah,
and they send a bunch of emails out and expect people to answer emails.
I've done that accidentally, or not accidentally. I've done that and then found out
Everybody has,
they're gonna be,
everybody
yeah,
has.
yeah,
Or they just make calls and that's about it. Or they just do LinkedIn request or just, what we find is the plan is the most effective. Like if you looked at each one of those, and I'm just big picture,
hmm,
each one of those is probably less than 10% effectiveness, way, way less than print, not probably, way less than 10%.
hmm,
Leaving voicemails is the least effective of getting a call back.
yeah,
But when you combine them in some type of system, like if I made a call and then chances are you're not going to pick up, but then I leave a voicemail.
hmm,
But the voicemail is not going to be to sell them on the call and say something like, "Hey, Austin, it's Joe Ippolito calling from Sandler Training. I'd really like to talk to you about enrolling in some of our sales training programs. Please give me a call back." You
yeah,
know, they're not going to call you back. But if I mentioned something and I just said, "Hey, Austin, hey, just shot you an email about 10 o'clock, subject line this. Hey, take a look. If there's any interest, reach back out to me."
hmm,
Right? So I'm now tying a voice message into curiosity to hook maybe the prospect to look at their email and get back and see a message. So
yeah.
that's what I mean. There's got to be a couple of different ways you approach the prospect. So that's number one. So just some type of game plan on what you're doing. And then I'm going to talk about really, then it comes down to tactics and techniques. Like,
Yeah.
how do you open the call? Because, when you think about the whole thing, I actually think like prospecting is probably the toughest. I mean, brain surgery is either easier than prospect when you think about it. Because at least in brain surgery, the guy is like your prospect is under anesthesia and can't move, can't hurt you,
Yeah.
can't do anything bad, right?
And hopefully they said, please operate on me before you
And
said
they want to be operated
it.
on, right? But you think about, most people are going to call to someone who's probably super busy. They're working, they've got things going on in the middle of the day.
Mhm.
And now all of a sudden they pick up the phone and someone is going to try to sell them something on the phone, interrupt their day, take them off some tasks, and expect to have a successful outcome.
Yeah.
It, it, So when you get the data where it's 1 out of 100 Yeah, maybe you get lucky once in a while. It's kind of like the blind squirrel finding a nut.
Hmm.
But you need a plan to open up the call effectively. And what we talk about, like when you think about when that prospect picks up the phone, they're not like, hey, Austin, yeah, hey, actually, I wasn't doing anything today. Yeah, I'd love to hear what you're selling and maybe even buy something from you, right? A psychological wall goes up right away, and it's instant unconscious wall, from the amygdala
Hmm.
gets on fire, and it's a fight or flight. And fight what is, hey, you know what? We're all set. We don't need this. We're already under contract. And flight would be, hey, they just hang up on you, so you never call again.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people like it's funny, like, a lot of people talk to company, yeah, we get scripts and stuff like that. I'm like, unless you get the prospect receptive to what you're going to say in the beginning, there's not one word you can say where that prospect is going to say, "Oh my God, are you kidding me? That's like the best thing I have ever heard. No, I would love to buy this today."
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. So you need that little process to get the guard down, create value right away, right?
Yeah.
Understand kind of if they have any challenges or problems, and then not sell, but just see if there's a problem and try to book a meeting. So
Mhm.
that would be tactics, techniques. And then number three is just the mindset of going in there to a prospecting call.
Yeah.
Just to talk to a minute on that, because I think that's important too.
Super.
Most salespeople go in with the mindset that they have to sell something.
Hmm.
I mean, that's what everyone gets paid for, right? To sell something. So the mindset is, yeah, I've got to see, I've got to get their interest and try to sell something for them. Well, that's not the right mindset because a prospecting call is not a place to sell a prospect. It's the worst environment possible that
Hmm.
you could try to sell. So the mindset around the Sandler approach is, hey, does this person have a problem that I could potentially solve?
Yeah.
And that's all I'm doing. I'm like a doctor trying to diagnose, hey, look, we're just going to have a conversation, Austin. And if you're having a problem, issue, challenge, or goal or objective that maybe we could help you with, maybe we could set a meeting and talk about it.
Yeah.
If not for any reason, hey, you know where we are if something changes down the road, and we can talk then. So there's no pressure. And my goal is to uncover a problem, challenge, issue, a level of curiosity, and
Hmm.
then book a meeting.
Yeah.
It's not to sell. So I don't know if you want to talk about that at all or comment.
Yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about, as I'm picking up the phone, because I wanted two things you said there specifically, talking about the amygdala and like the wall going up. And that's like a basic instinct, right? It's fight or flight.
Right.
Everyone's pre-programmed to do that. It's not been deprogrammed out of humans. That's there.
Correct.
So how do you diffuse that? And then also the mindset, as you're talking about, like, hey, you're not there to close the deal on the call. You're there
Correct.
to do that. So, I mean, I'd love to hear because like as I'm going to pick up the phone,
Yeah.
what am I thinking about as I'm going to pick up the phone?
Yeah.
Specifically, what am I headspace should I be in?
Yeah.
How am I understanding their positioning and then how am I trying to diffuse that wall?
Yeah. Kind of simpler is better.
Yeah.
So usually, and I don't want to just say, hey, there's only two different objectives or only two objectives, but if you just looked at it, um, well, I'll just go the opposite first. If
Okay.
I had the mindset that, oh, I've got to sell this guy, I've got to bring in this account, I've got to close some opportunities. If I have that mindset going in, what are some of the behaviors that would follow that mindset if I thought, oh, I got to sell this guy, I got to lock him down?
Mhm.
What do you think that would drive the salesperson to do?
Just pushy immediately to the pitch, just trying to get the credit card out
There
that
you go.
second, right? Yeah.
Push like a bulldozer, push right through the call.
Yeah.
If I just said, okay, I'm going to bring in a curiosity mindset and I'm calling this person and I'm going to figure out based on what I do, like I do sales training, I'm going
Hmm.
to call a VP of sales, a CRO or CEO and wonder, hey, how well is their sales team doing? Are
Yeah.
there any challenges or problems they're having that they're trying to improve upon? So my first objective is to see if there's any problem, issue, challenge, goal, or objective
Yeah.
around my service. The second thing is I don't want to sell at this point. What I'd like to do is find out if there is any curiosity or need around a problem that I can uncover, book a meeting
Yeah.
to set up now a sales call in the right type of environment. So the other thing is, and a lot of people make mistakes, this whole, and we're talking about calling, the same thing would apply whether some people still do walk-ins to companies,
Hmm.
some people go to trade shows, which be used, some people do networking. The same concept's going to be you sending an email to attract people into the conversation. So
Yeah.
it applies all the way around. Um, so the first thing we're going to want to do is get that guard down.
Hmm.
Okay. And because when I open up the call, so I'm sorry. So we talked about the objectives, finding a problem, booking a meeting, 3 minutes only,
Yeah.
three, four, maybe. Because if I go over that 3 to 4 minutes, what does that, the prospecting call turns into a what?
A really rushed discovery call, I would assume.
Yeah, it turns right into a sales call.
Yeah.
Anything longer, it comes to sale. You do not want a sales call.
Yeah.
So that's what I said, whether networking, trade shows, is there a problem? Engage them enough, book a next meeting. So the two objectives, find a problem, book a meeting.
Yeah.
So that would be the three things we do. So plan, tactics, techniques, and then mindset going in. But if I go with a mindset going in, hey, I'm just trying to find a problem and I'm going to ask him questions, I'm not putting any weight on my shoulders to close anything.
Hmm.
And I know, hey, some people will have a problem. Maybe I can talk and help them. Some won't. Who cares? What's next?
Yeah.
Because the other thing about prospecting is afterburn. After getting rejected, hung up on, same thing. We're all, if, avoiding excuses, we're all set, we're already using. It's like, how can you bring the same energy to it's tough.
Yeah.
So, the genius behind Sandler is not only the skills to do this effectively, but keeping the salesperson's head in a great space
Yeah.
to make that next call. So those are the three things. So you talked about, how do you do that, right? Prospect picks up the phone, and how do we, I like to just say the amygdala goes on fire. They pick it up and we say, "Hey, Austin, how are you today?" And the prospect's thinking, "I don't know this person,"
Yeah.
right?
What do you
They
want
can
from me?
they sense tonality, that singy-songy, excited voice.
Yeah.
And then they might say something like, "Hey, I'd like to tell you about," and they start pitching right away. So subconsciously, it's the fight or flight. It's either we're going to push or we're going to run. So what we have to do is we have to, and when we do this, I'm walking through this is a second by second process.
Right.
I have to break that pattern. You mentioned, I said, I forget what words you said, but I love what you said. Kind of, was it a triggered response or what did,
I mean, I don't know, instinctual. I mean, that's just basically what happens, right? Like,
yeah. It's just the
happen.
prospect's not even thinking about doing it. They just do it. It's a
Yeah.
trigger response. So the first thing I'd want to do is I have to be different. I have to break that response pattern. So
Hmm.
we do that thing, one of the skills we have at Sandler's is called this thing a pattern interrupt, is that I want to break that pattern of the prospect going fight or flight. And the mindset going is creating curiosity. I need to keep the prospect curious to take them through this little stage,
Yeah.
through these stages. So I could be, I mean, there's many different like pattern interrupts. I'll give you one example, and it's just being disarmingly honest.
Yeah.
Uh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you like a little pattern interrupt, and and then in the Sandler methodology is this thing we call upfront contracts, getting agreements and things like that. And a lot of this is researched. And one of the things we found is what prospects don't like about receiving prospecting calls is number one, the salesperson doesn't stop talking. The
Hmm.
call can go on forever. It's a total pitch, and there are no outcomes other than buy or fly. So I'm gonna set the framework so I can get rid of that. So I'll just do a quick role play. If you were my prospect, Austin, I'm calling you
Go for it.
on
Yeah.
the ring, ring, ring. Hey, Austin.
Yeah, this is Austin.
Hey, yeah, Austin. Hey, Joe Ippolito calling. Hey, we haven't spoken before. Do you mind if I take a minute and tell you the reason for my call?
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
Okay. So if you break that down, what didn't you hear? What didn't I say? Now I did it. I'm with Sandler training. What
Yeah.
didn't I say?
You didn't say anything about what, who you were with, what your full intention of was. You didn't even like give like a hint at what you were going to talk about.
Right.
You were saying, "Can I tell you about that?" And then left it open is what it
Correct.
felt like. Yeah.
So it's so funny because it's so simple, and so many salespeople have a tough time getting over that hurdle. Do not give your company name,
Yeah.
because if I call and say my company name, what am I really saying behind my company name? I'm here to do what?
Yeah. You're trying to sell them something.
I'm going
You're
to sell them
going right
something.
into the pattern that you're trying to interrupt, right?
The amygdala is exploding. In fact, I'd
Yeah.
also argue that the top of their skull is just jumping off, their brain is jumping off the top of their head.
Yeah.
So again, I have to avoid that. So by just saying, hey, Joe Polito calling Austin, hey, we've never met before. Do you mind if I take a moment and tell you the reason for my call?
Yeah.
What am I, what kind of, so by the way, what do you notice about my tonality?
It's polite, conversational. It looks like you're
Conversational,
just like, "Hey, you don't know me."
curious,
Yeah.
right? So that's I did my little upfront contract. Hey, take a moment, tell you the reason for my call. And then you could even add something like, and then hey, you could decide if it's worth it's worth continuing.
Hmm.
That's like 100%er the price. Sure.
Yeah.
And even our little role play, did it not cook some curiosity?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So now at least they're somewhat receptive to the message. So
Right.
now I have to give it up, right? In most cases, now I have to tell them, hey, my company is Sandler Training.
Hmm.
Now, watch what I'm going to do, because a lot of things what prospects don't like is we don't personalize it at all. We sell one way to everybody,
Hmm.
and we don't have credibility coming into the call. They don't know who we are. So I'll pretend you're a VP of a technology company.
Yeah.
Okay. And I might say something, yeah. So hey, Austin, my company's Sandler Training, and we help companies build high performance sales and sales leadership teams. And typically, when I get to talk to VPs of sales, I hear a couple of things out there in the marketplace all the time. And what they're telling me is number one, they probably already do some training and maybe even have an experienced team.
Hmm.
But for whatever reason, they still have challenges prospecting effectively. They just can't get their guys to get enough new meetings, so their pipeline isn't full of opportunities.
Hmm.
Or maybe number two, they're getting a lot of opportunities, but the deals are just taking forever to close. They're not getting in front of the right people. Or number three, they're getting in front of the right people and they are closing business, but they're constantly discounting and having to negotiate pricing, and maybe they don't know how to create enough value. I don't want to pretend to know your business, Austin, but before I ramble on about Sandler and what we do, any of that jump out at you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Sorry, do you want me to be the
well, yeah, you can, or you can.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, my guys aren't getting enough first meetings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there we go. I've identified a problem.
Hmm.
And now at least the other thing is when BDRs, SDRs, they get meetings, a lot of times they are unqualified meetings. They couldn't tell if an A picks up the meeting or an account manager. They don't, say, hey, why are they meeting? Well, I don't know. They just were curious on meeting. Now I have a partially qualified meeting
Hmm.
that this person has a problem. So
Yeah.
I've changed and switched up the whole dynamic of this meeting. Now, if you noticed what I did at the beginning of that call, I took away an objection from the prospect that we would see in our world. Like if we talk to prospects, they'd say, "Hey Joe, we already do some training,
Hmm.
and hey, we already have an experienced team." Now, from my experience, I know that the training they're probably doing is probably not like what we do.
Right.
And having an experienced team doesn't mean it's a high performance team. So I took that away from them by acknowledging, hey, here's what I'm hearing out there,
Yeah.
and using a Sandler concept of a third party story. Okay, so that keeps the amygdala settled down because I'm not saying, hey, Austin, your team is not this, this is what I'm saying. Hey, here's what other VPs or I'm hearing from other VPs and CROs. So now psychologically, it's social validation of others like them.
Hmm.
So by acknowledging I have a lot of conversations, I've had credibility and expertise.
Yeah.
And now I make it easier for the prospect to open up and say, "Yeah, you know what? Yeah, th those guys have that problem. Hey, you know what? I do too."
Yeah.
And so I take the objection away and then get into three problems that I could potentially solve for them.
And a thing I've heard about that as well from other, people is that it also is giving them a compliment. So you're keeping their amygdala, settled as well because you're going, you have a good team, you're doing training, you're doing a good job, but here's a hump that I can help you with. So you're going like not coming in and attacking
Perfect.
and being like, you suck, you suck,
Correct.
you suck. Now give me money. It's, hey, you're doing a great job, but maybe we can fix just this.
You're
That's where we're in, right?
you're settling the amygdala by saying, "Hey, you're probably doing a good job, probably already do some training,
Yeah.
probably getting a lot of this." But on occasion, and now I'm go from my experience in
Hmm.
calling in that vertical or space, I'm going to call out problems that I've seen, which is really my expertise as a salesperson, is the knowledge I have from calling on hundreds of companies
Yeah.
or any salesperson. I don't think as salespeople, they have the mindset that like, hey, they've called, think about some sales teams doing 50 calls a day and things like that. There's a lot of experience in the verticals and what they know and their knowledge of the industry,
Yeah.
but they never let that come out because they're constantly pitching instead of, hey, here's what we're seeing out in this vertical. Here's what we're seeing in this space. Hey, are you seeing any of the same stuff?
Hmm.
If you are and you want to talk, maybe we should set a meeting.
Right.
If you aren't and things are perfect, hey, no problem. Hope, Austin, we created some value for you either way. If something changes, hey, you know where to find me.
Yeah. It's, I hear a lot about the idea of like a lead magnet, right? And the idea of having like you got to lead with some sort of value, you got to, come with something to give to them. And within your quick example, what I'm hearing is that lead magnet, probably a terrible way to phrase it, but like you're bringing value, which is, hey, I have market data for you. I'm bringing this market data back to you, and I've told
Bingo.
it to you within 20 seconds. And
Bingo.
now you have market data, and I haven't sent you some PDF or I haven't, made you go watch a video. I've given you
Bingo.
market data within 20 seconds, and then but I've also asked you permission to give you that data, and then I've got my
Right
next
on the money.
action quickly.
I mean, what can I say to create value? Hey, Austin, we're the number one sales training firm in the world.
Good
We're
for
the
you.
best thing. There's all our value. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
The value is your knowledge, sharing your value and experience with that prospect
Hmm.
and telling them what you're seeing. And look, at the end of the day, companies are going to work on problems first.
Yeah.
Right? They solve problems first. Whoever you're calling on, they have a priority list of a million things.
Hmm.
And the priority list, the top of that priority list is work on these problems. Let's fix this.
Yeah.
So I want to find out if I can get on that list and make them aware of maybe a problem they weren't aware of, or dig in a little bit, which I would, but I'm not doing the end of the call because there's a little more to it that we would continue with.
Mhm.
But that's the value I'm delivering to them
Yeah. I think
without selling.
it's interesting too, because you're keeping it very like problem oriented, example oriented. You're not telling them how you're going to solve it at all. And it's making it so it's easier to say, like, to keep it open so you can actually have a real discovery call to really dig in and find where you attach to what their biggest problems are. Or maybe you don't at all, and then you can just end the conversation then. But instead of having it being that initial amygdala unsettled at any point in time could
Settle
start
it
the
down.
conversation, you're letting it be for it. They've set aside the time, they've agreed to it, they're in control of that time versus being
Well, there's
ambushed.
the
I
other
hate to
thing,
say it, but
allowing them to feel in control,
yeah,
have it just conversational. And the other thing, I'm not attached to the outcome.
yeah,
I'm the it's like why would I expect to call 100 people and they're all going to buy? I mean, I don't know, but I know if they have a problem, if it makes sense to get a next step and set up a meeting, we can do that.
yeah.
If they're not, then that's fine. But I do know something. In most cases, if you know the business and the industry, things change.
Yeah.
And no matter what, I want to be the guy they call back for whatever reason this wasn't a good time, or they remembered the call. I was different than everybody else. I
Yeah.
gave them some market data and information. I created equal business stature.
Yeah.
And if they're interested, hey, great, I'm happy to book a meeting. If they're not, no problem. Next case, does this guy have a problem?
Yeah.
Who find the problem, and then you'll find that meeting.
When you approach it this way that you're talking about, you really are, if you truly are curious, you really are finding out whether or not this is a problem for them. And whether or not you have an amazing business that is number one and has all the widgets and all the great stuff, that really might not be a problem for that company. Not every company has that problem.
Well,
And if it is a
true.
problem, it also might be so low on the list that it really isn't right for them to be addressing it. Like I get these calls for people wanting to sell me business insurance, and I'm like, hey man,
Right.
we're a startup. If somebody sues us, we're going under. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no point in having this insurance. There,
Well, I
it's
love
a
that
one and
point.
done.
I know I love that because like, Sandler, we've got obviously great methodology and system, but it's guided by these rules. And one of the Sandler rules is people buy for their reasons, not yours.
Yeah,
So, and everyone has their different reasons. So when you say, how can you possibly pitch someone on a call when you don't understand if there's a problem, and then what are their reasons for the problem and how is it impacting them?
yeah,
How, it's senseless. It's senseless.
yeah.
And that's a good mindset that you just articulated.
Yeah. And then so but you did say have a precautionary tale at the beginning of this, which is don't let this become more than 3 minutes or even, I mean, I assume even less would be great as long as you get that meeting.
Yeah.
What would be techniques that somebody could employ to make sure it doesn't start turning into a 15-minute discovery call and all of a sudden you're going past what your intended goal is?
Yeah. So that's a great, and I say 3 minutes. Look, there's all
Yeah.
sales is situational, right? So there's no hard clock stop, but it's just in the back of my head. I do not want to get into sales mode.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I did not give you the end of that call, and if the prospect gave me that problem, I would then handle it with a few additional qualifying questions,
Hmm.
then book a meeting. But there's a segue point. There's an inflection point where at some point I'd ask you a couple of questions to probe a little bit deeper. Okay. And then I might just say, hey, Austin, look, I know I just called you out of the blue. Hey, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Now, I asked a question and I zipped up. I'm silent.
Hmm.
Again, that's a 95 percenter. Yeah, sure, sure. Then I'll book my meeting. So, and again, that those are my words, but it's a nice like, hey, let's just stop. I've got what I need. This person has a problem. I've uncovered some of the impacts of that problem, and I just might say, hey, Austin, can I make a suggestion here? I know I caught you totally out of the blue. Why don't we book a 30-minute call? We can further explore. some of those challenges so I could get a better understanding of them. At the same time, answer any questions you have about Sandler. And then from there, if there's any mutual interest, we could decide what next steps would possibly look like. And if not, no harm, no foul. Either way, you'll get additional value from this call.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's
No,
easy
no
to,
pressure.
yeah,
Um, some will, some won't. So what? Who's next?
on to the next one.
But I'll raise significantly my conversion rates through this little somewhat of a process that I gave you. Significantly. And it's not going to be about making more calls. It's be about being more effective with the calls you're making.
Hmm.
So that's basically yeah. I mean the prospect, it's magic. It's magic when, not only for the salespeople, but obviously the results, but keeping them in a good place. And at the same time, it's building their skills because a lot of BDR and SDR, they don't want to stay BDRs forever. They
Hmm.
want to get promoted to AEs and AMs. And now they're learning the same skill set on a cold call that would be applied in a sales deal.
Hmm.
Only obviously it's more, I don't want to say elaborated. That's not the right word, but the sales call is a condensed version of the methodology that they would run on a meeting.
Yeah.
So they're
Increase.
learning specific
Yeah.
skills that are replicable that would now be applied to the meeting, but expanded upon.
Yeah. I'll say for anyone listening, I have gone from the don't know how to make a good cold call, just pitching right away to using this type of method. And I've learned some great nuances here. It's worked for me. Like
Yeah.
it's completely changed my ability to make calls, to feel comfortable making them because the permission structure makes me feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
And then just the effectiveness and getting actual conversions into first book meetings. I mean, it's just night and day. It's not even the
Well, I
same
think
anymore.
I think the one thing that makes Sandler kind of unique is, we don't get, Sandler's not giving us, we're not sitting on the couch getting leads from Sandler to do training.
Yeah.
We sell to train. So what we talk about doing and applying with the Sandler methodology, we also do that to build our book of business and do what our customers are doing. I had to make 50 calls a day to build my book of business. So I had to use these skills. So when we're with the team, it's not, we're giving them everything that we do on a day-to-day basis that have refined over the years through hundreds of trainers around the world to get the best possible practice and methodology and outcome out there. So we like to say we kind of eat our own dog food.
I like drink your own champagne, but both work.
That's better. I'd rather drink my own champagne than eat my own dog food.
Either way, you're practicing what you preach and it shows.
Practice what you preach. Yes, that's
Yeah.
even better. That's even better.
So we're up on time, but before I let you go, I want to ask the same question I ask everybody, which is if somebody's listening in and they're going to take one thing away from this and make sure that they apply this to like their daily practice or to their team or to their business in some way, what is that one thing that they really need to take away from this conversation?
I mean, that's going to be more from what they take away. I think we find like different people take away different things,
Yeah.
right? I mean, if you're asking me, so I tell you, do not sell on a prospecting call.
Hmm. Just keep it into the goal of this is to be curious and to
Yeah.
book the meeting.
Correct.
Stop
Now,
there.
now, granted, let me just make one nuance because, like I said, sales is situational. You could be in some business with a one call close,
Yeah.
okay? But when you're talking about companies where you're not selling on price, there's
Mhm.
some dollars involved. It has to do about learning about their business and establishing long-term relationships where there's ongoing revenue opportunities.
Yeah.
This is the way you have to go. I don't want to, the one call close guys, some of the same things, obviously a little bit different. Um, but regardless, it's building that relationship. If they go with us, set a meeting, great. If they don't, also not if that's great too. I want to leave a good impression. Get those callbacks when something changes down the road and remember that experience they had with a non salesperson.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say I've called somebody 6 months later and I didn't expect them to remember me and they did. And we were pleasant the
Ah,
first time and we were pleasant the second time. And I've actually had a few of those turn into conversations because, same. And I just expected them to forget me and they didn't. I was
yeah,
like, great.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
have things changed? They're like, actually, and it doesn't happen often, but it is, still money in the bank to be able to have started the relationship and maintained it. And somebody saying no is part of starting that relationship.
That's part of sales. I mean, I was just noticing one fact. I don't know if we're still recording or off.
We are. Keep going.
Do you follow like baseball, Major League Baseball?
Very, very lightly.
Okay. I don't know where this statistic came from. I'm not going to give a number because it was so low, it was shocking. There are way few 300 hitters today than there were like 10 years ago.
Hmm.
Like 300 was the magic, 300, you're in the.
That's all-star, right? Hall of
Yeah,
Fame.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, like the numbers are outrageous of how few players now bat 300,
Hmm.
and they're the best at the game that they could be.
Yeah.
And we're kind of in that same ballpark. I'm not going to say we're not going to bat 500, making prospecting calls, but we've got a process, we've got a system. We roll through that as best as effectively as we can. We adapt it. We're situational with it, and we will have that high batting average and succeed.
Yeah. Well, with that, Joe, I really appreciate you coming on, sharing some wisdom, and
Great,
having a great conversation about prospecting.
great, Austin. Glad to be here.